Hey guys, Stefan Kesting from grapplearts.com here. Today I want to show you an armbar that at first I totally wrote off. It's called either the pressing armbar or the crushing armbar. In judo they call it udegatame. And basically, one of the most common ways to apply it, and I was shown this tons of time. I've been shown it, I've seen it in books, I've seen it in magazines, is when your opponent's arm, you're in a side mount, your opponent's arm is here in the between your head and your shoulder. So what you're going to do is you're going to control this, and you're going to pull him back and get a knee mount. We'll get sort of a low knee mount. You put a knee across his belly. Now, the way I was shown it at first, just for historical purposes, push the head down, step over the head, sit back on your butt, and pull in on the arm here till he taps. He just tapped. So we'll just rotate here. His arm's in a bad position. His arm's on this side of my head as opposed to here. So I'm going to trap the arm, come up to a knee mount. Now the nice way to do this, and I'll show you the mean way to do this in a second, is to push the head down, step over, sit back, pinch the knees, so I'm controlling the shoulder, and I'm pinching his wrist with my head. So I'm controlling movement of the shoulder, movement of the head. There's space here, and I pull here. See I'm tapping? Cool. Now, the first time I was shown that, I was like, yeah, whatever. Who's going to stay there? Who's going to let you do that? I was in a class. I wanted to be polite to the instructor, so I went through it, practiced it a few times. I was like, okay, we'll just totally ignore that technique. And maybe it was because nobody in that class was doing it, the instructor included, incidentally. I never gave that technique any credibility at all. I thought it was just one of those crazy things out there that people show when they're trying to be fancy. Then I started training with Marcus Suarez, who showed me the same technique in a slightly different, slightly meaner way. In this version, you control the arm, you go to knee on belly, you push the head away, and you kneel on the face. You're here, and he taps. Because the head's all twisted here, as it turns out, there's far less movement that he can do. The odds of him getting to the top, scrambling out of it and getting on the top, you going to the bottom are far less. Worst case scenario, that arm gets out, you're still on top. You're still kind of on a knee mount, knee on face. But once again, I knew better. Marcus, I think, was a 5th or 6th degree black belt at the time. I knew better. I was a blue belt. I was dialed in. So I threw that technique out. I practiced it a few times. Never did it again. So now, fast forward to a tournament that I was in. It's a big guy. I tried throwing him. Didn't work. I pulled guard. I swept him over with an omoplata sweep, and I ended up in side mount. I'm here in side mount, and I notice that this guy's arm is in the right place. And I'm like, holy crap, maybe I'll try that submission. What do I have to lose? I'm up on points, and it seems like it might even work. So I pulled it, went to knee mount, pushed the face, and next thing you know, he was tapping out. I was like, wow, it must have been a fluke. That won me the medal, must have been a fluke. I didn't do that armbar again for another year. Like, I didn't try it in class, didn't drill it, never touched it. I'm fighting another tournament. I might have been a purple belt, another big, strong guy. I tied up with this guy. I'm like, holy jeez, this guy's strong. He's throwing me around. Somehow I get the fight to the ground. Somehow I get past his guard, get to side mount. And once again, the arm's in that position. I think he's trying to hold on to me a little bit. I'm like, well, it worked last year. I still don't believe this technique works. Controlled the arm, knee on belly, pushed the face, knee on face, and he tapped out. And I'm like, okay, I can be an idiot once, twice. I can have all these people telling me it's a great technique, but now it's just worked twice in real life. Thanks, Richie. Sorry about the knee on the face. It's cool, man. I guess part of the take-home message is, first of all, that armbar is a good one, and it's worth training. The second is, yes, you should spend the majority of your time training working on your core competencies, working on your game, what you know works for you. But leave a little bit of time, a little bit of energy, a little bit of drilling time to try out the really weird stuff, the stuff that you're pretty sure won't work, because you don't know. I believe it's Google, the big multi-gazillion-dollar company, that allows its employees, most of the time they have to be spending doing the core competencies, which are, obviously search, and Google AdWords and stuff that makes Google money, stuff they know works. This would be, in jiu-jitsu, be your bread and butter game. But they can spend a small percentage of the time working on experimental stuff, and then they can spend an even smaller percentage of the time working on crazy, way out stuff that they have no idea how it's going to make them money. They don't know how that's going to pan out in the future, and my point is, neither do you. If somebody shows you some kind of crazy half butterfly sweep where you spin underneath and catch them in a kimura and use that to force them over and get to the top and then tap them out with some weird choke, yeah, maybe it's one of those techniques that people make up to be impressive. So you just want to show off to a bunch of students. It happens. But it could also be, there's a small chance, that it could be your next bread and butter technique. This is an example of something that I had completely dismissed that's now one of my bread and butter attacks. And I can vouch for it in a couple of tournaments, plus a whole bunch of times in class after that, where it's worked for me. So, most of the time, work on the stuff that you know works for you, your core game, but leave a little bit of time for that weird stuff, because you never know when it'll come in and give you a hand.